Welcome to The Explainer. If you're trying to figure out the wild, incredibly fast-moving world of AI video generation, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're taking what can honestly feel like a totally chaotic, unpredictable process, and we're breaking it down into a highly structured, actionable workflow. We're going to map out exactly how the pros are getting those stunning, cohesive, cinematic results completely without pulling their hair out.
Okay, let's dive into this. One filmmaker recently said, after burning over $1,000 worth of credits, I've learned quite a few things. And honestly, that perfectly captures the frustrating trial-and-error reality of AI filmmaking right now. Creating an AI film isn't just typing, make a cool movie into a prompt box. It takes deliberate structure. Because when you're paying for every single generation credit, a bad prompt or a glitchy character doesn't just waste your time. It literally burns through your wallet. Our entire goal with this explainer is to hand you the exact techniques learned from that $1,000 trial run so you can completely avoid making those expensive mistakes.
So, here is our roadmap for today. First, pre-production and character consistency. Second, production, which is all about directing the AI. Third, voice, motion, and VFX. And finally, post-production and the final edit. Let's get right to it.
Phase 1. Pre-production. Building world and character. Laying a strong visual foundation right here is absolutely crucial to stop your characters and locations from glitching out later on.
And this brilliantly illustrates a really simple time-saving hack. Never ever use a clean white background for your character reference sheets. It seems like a good idea, right? But it actually causes unwanted overexposure. It makes your character look like they're walking out of a supernova when the AI transfers that bright white light into your final scene. But if you just use a gray background, it maintains a neutral, perfect lighting environment. That way it doesn't overexpose your character when you drop them into, say, a dense, dark prehistoric forest. Once you have that gray background sorted, you need to follow what's called the rule of 3 references. Just uploading one basic picture, yeah, that's not going to cut it for true character consistency. You really need 3 specific images: a full-body character sheet, a close-up portrait, and a detail sheet specifically for capturing skin and hair texture. And a quick pro tip for you here. This is the moment to spend a little extra money. Setting your quality to high and generating in 2K or 4K is absolutely worth the extra cost because the AI needs those high-resolution details to keep your character from morphing between shots.
Listen, if you don't lock down your references, you end up with what I call the case of the disappearing TV glitch. There's this great anecdote where a filmmaker generated an awesome scene of a caveman jumping out of a television. But in the very next shot, the TV just vanishes into thin air. Why did that happen? Well, AI basically has the memory of a goldfish, unless you lock in your background reference images. It simply forgot the TV was supposed to be there. Objects and backgrounds need reference images just as much as your characters do.
To avoid continuity errors like that disappearing TV, you need a solid plan. And you can automate this by leveraging AI tools like Claude. Here's how. You provide an MD file, which is just a simple markdown text document containing your formatting rules and prompting techniques, and then you input your basic story idea. Claude processes those rules and spits out a detailed structural shot list. You're basically taking the creative guesswork out of continuity, ensuring every single object is accounted for before you even generate a single frame of video.
Okay, moving on to phase 2, production, directing the AI. This is where we learn how to properly format text to get exactly the cinematic shot you're visualizing.
So, stepping into the director's chair, you've got 3 core prompting strategies. The simple prompt is your everyday workhorse: camera movement, subject, and action. Think tracking shot of a caveman creeping through the jungle. Then you have timeline prompting, which adds shot-by-shot context. Finally, there's the translation method. This is fascinating. A lot of powerful video models, like Seance, were trained primarily on Chinese data. So, if you write your prompt in English and translate it into Chinese before feeding it to the AI, you can significantly improve the model's comprehension and get a way more accurate generation.
Let's look a little closer at timeline prompting. This involves instructing the AI with specific atmospheric settings, like cinematic, natural lighting, followed by detailed timestamps. It gives the AI a massive amount of context. And here's a super weird but effective pro tip. When you're setting the mood in your prompt, literally type the words 24 frames per second. For whatever reason, feeding that specific frame rate into the model actually reduces lag and really smooths out the final output.
So the crucial point is this: 840 versus 4,800. These are your generation credits, and keeping an eye on them is the secret to not going completely broke. Never, ever render your first test shot in full 1080p high definition. That costs a whopping 4,800 credits. Instead, always render your test shots in 480p, which only runs you 840 credits.
Use the cheap, low-resolution shot to see if your prompt is actually working. Only once you confirm the camera's moving how you want do you upscale and spend the big credits on the 1080p version.
Now, even with a great prompt, true scene continuity means stitching different angles together. If you have a wide start frame and then cut to a close-up, the AI will probably change the background. To fix this, you have to use shared reference details. Going back to our source material, one filmmaker literally had to prompt a dead dinosaur carcass into their close-up just to trick the AI into matching the previous wide shot. That shared object makes multiple separate generations feel like one cohesive, flowing scene.
Phase 3. Voice, motion, and VFX. Adding the human touch. These are the advanced elements that take a standard AI generation and turn it into believable cinema.
Getting voices right is incredibly important, so characters don't randomly change accents halfway through a scene. You have 3 main methods here. Video to video is amazing for using real footage of yourself acting. Audio reference is perfect for uploading a clean audio file to drive the lip sync. And detailed prompting is best for defining specific AI voices, like asking for a 12-year-old boy. But listen to me on this. Whichever method you use, it is absolutely essential to use a high-quality physical microphone. Recording on a terrible, cheap mic will instantly ruin the immersion.
If you're struggling to describe the voice you want in your text prompt, you have to try the Gemini voice hack. You simply take an audio sample of a voice you love, upload it to Google's Gemini, and ask it to describe the audio. Gemini is incredible at giving you highly descriptive text. It'll tell you if the voice has a guttural, rough texture or a smooth, breathy cadence. You just copy those exact words and paste them into your video prompt. It works like a charm for consistency.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the concept of motion transfer. This is the ultimate cheat code for realistic movement. It means replicating your exact hand, body, and lip movements from a real video right onto your AI character. By setting up a camera and physically acting out a scene yourself, you force the AI to match your exact performance. It completely eliminates that floaty, weird, robotic AI movement because the foundation is entirely human. And you can push this even further with AI VFX. Let's say you want a really complex shot of dirty hands typing a text message on a smartphone. The AI just cannot generate that level of specific finger coordination from scratch. So you record a video of yourself tapping a real phone. Then you use an AI VFX tool to mask out everything except your hands. Finally, you replace the background seamlessly with your generated environment. You're blending traditional recording with AI tools to create incredibly text-heavy shots the AI couldn't dream of making on its own.
Finally, Phase 4, post-production, the final edit. Because make no mistake, traditional editing skills are the ultimate secret weapon of top-tier AI filmmakers.
The reality is, you rarely get a perfect shot on the first try. The final polish workflow is where the magic happens. Actually, scratch that. It's where the real work happens. You take your multiple outputs, chop them up, and stitch only the absolute best, flawless seconds together. You apply a unified color grade like a warm golden hour glow so everything matches. And crucially, you layer heavy sound design. If the AI generated a weird visual glitch or, say, a mutant dinosaur screech, you cover it up with a brilliantly placed sound effect and just master the logical flow. Which brings us to a really big question. When you see how much intense pre-production planning, direct human performance, and heavy post-production editing goes into this, you have to ask, is AI actually replacing filmmakers, or is it just giving brilliant editors a powerful, cost-saving new kind of camera? I really hope this structured workflow has inspired you to take these techniques, stop burning your credits aimlessly, and start confidently experimenting with your own AI cinematic universe. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.